Hello, everybody out there in interwebs land. It's me, Mark Reed, and I am back with another debate dissection. I'm glad you could join me. This one is it's for the people. It's for the people. I did a poll to see whether people did want to see a debate dissection of the presidential debate. I mean, that's the biggest debate that has happened in the last 4 years, I guess. I mean, it is the most significant. I'm not sure about it's the best, but it's the most significant to everybody's lives. So, yeah, I kind of agree that it is important. I kind of agree that I probably should have known it was coming up ahead of time and actually planned for it. But I didn't. There it is. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't plan for it. It isn't my country. That's not really an excuse. It's just I had no idea. I'm going to find out when the second one is too, because I will do that. But I did want to get the O'Connor versus who was he debating? D'Souza finished up, and that part two was Sunday. But I decided to do a special edition of the debate dissection. Unfortunately, I'm missing my good friend and dissection companion Ember, who couldn't be available for this one, but that's okay. That's all right. You'll just have to, make do with me. When does the next presidential debate actually take place? When's the next presidential debate? I have no idea. In September, apparently. Okay. It's only July. What? Okay. Tuesday, September 10th. All right. Apparently. I'm just trying to see now. Yes, Tuesday, September 10th on ABC. Okay, so it's on ABC. Gotcha. But thank you all for joining me here. And I really appreciate you being here and seeing this monumental debate. We're going to go through it. Yeah. So we're going to go through it, and I do have something for you all. I'm going to keep sort of a running tally. So we have a liar meter to tally up the lies. Now, this might be a colossal mistake. Okay, this might be a Mark gets mind flooded and can't keep up, which is entirely possible. I think Pragmatic Crystal want to fact check as well. And yeah, I think if you guys wanna send me over when it happens, sure. I've got my pen and paper here, so I'm gonna try and keep a running tally. It may be a fruitless and awful endeavor, but I will try. I certainly will try. And I'll update my liar meter periodically to represent where I think they're at. So bear with me. I've never tried this. This would be so much easier in OBS, but yeah, we're not doing that. So it's going to be a bit messy, but that's okay because I think the entire debate was a bit messy, to be frank. But let's get started, shall we? Yeah, you're right. You're right, Jedi. I don't disagree. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It may be easier just to count Trump's truth statements. Yeah. No, I get you, mate. But I don't know. Maybe Biden will say some things that are untrue. Oh, hello, Ember. Yeah, I just mentioned it's a Shane McGeezer fight. Nice. Okay, well, let's get this party started. Let's do it. Let's do it to it. Here we go. Look, Big Bad Mama, totally understandable. I get you. I that's something I have to say. I totally did not. I avoided almost all coverage. I watched the Jon Stewart thing on it. I couldn't avoid it. It's Jon Stewart. I love Jon Stewart. I think he's the Mark Twain of our generation. I think he's there's something about him that is just exceptional, above and beyond everybody else. So I think that I watched the sort of breakdown that he did, but I didn't watch any other coverage. So this is the first time to me. I will be experiencing this, and it's kind of wacky. You guys like have the presidential coverage for like months and months beforehand. We just do something in the month beforehand, and that's about it. But let us go. Let me know if it's all running smoothly. Of course, I'm going to speed her up so we're not sitting here forever. Let's do it.
Debate between the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President.
So as I understand, there was no audience for this one. And I can only imagine that they didn't want Trump's followers or Biden's followers hooting and hollering at them, as far as I know. A bit weird, but sure.
President Trump will be on the left side.
Hi, Katina.
President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss determines.
Oh, I couldn't. Okay, so that's obviously put out there for those people that can't read. Okay.
Their positions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer a question and 1 minute each for responses.
That is not a lot of time. That is not a lot of time. And moderator's discretion, an extra minute. Surely that extra minute should be for fact checking, right? Like, oh, this is what this thing says. How do you explain that conflicts, right? So 2 minutes, 1 minute response. The question, why are the questions like the time it takes to ask? Wait, I don't understand this. So it's 2 minutes for them to ask the questions and 1 minute for the responses. That means the answers have the same time as the questions. That doesn't seem right. Am I misreading that? Have I got that wrong?
And rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on.
Yeah, so this is because of Trump and sort of what he kept doing to Hillary, which was sit there and go wrong. This is all because of Trump and his inability to actually debate like a human being. I think that they've learned that they just cannot allow him to have an open mic, which is more than fair. That was shocking. What happened to Hillary Clinton? Not that I'm a big fan of Hillary, but I mean, he was a shocker. 2 minutes to answer, 1 minute for the opponent to rebut. Okay.
And his opponent's microphone will be turned off. Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Pre-written notes, props, or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate. By accepting our invitation to debate, both candidates and their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
What is this music? It is not that, like, what is this music? This is not a superhero film. This is a freaking debate. Just cool your jets. Wow.
Now, please welcome the 46th president.
Who directed this? Michael Bay?
Of the United States, Joe Biden.
Oh, that can't be good.
And please welcome the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump.
Man, even the walk-ons aren't that great. I mean, Biden's kind of hobbling. Trump's just slouched over and sloppy. Okay. Sure.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president, what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought out a position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble.
Yeah, so he's talking about inflation, though. So I mean, Trump did leave the economy in a freaking shambles. Look, partially it wasn't his fault, sure, but partially it was. The trade sanctions and tariffs that he set up, he didn't understand how tariffs work, and that if you tariff something, it'll increase the price for people. I still don't think he's addressing the issue, though, of why inflation is out of control. To be honest with you, the president doesn't have that much control over inflation, but I think in the wake of sort of the pandemic, they've really jacked up prices, as far as I know. I'm no sort of economist, but I think he does need to address why the cost of it's more cost of living than anything else, and that partially is inflation. It's also to do with sort of the price of things going up. Like, prices went up during COVID, and we sort of went, well, you know, it's COVID, the prices will go up. But why after COVID that's happening? Greed, a number of factors.
I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come from households where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate.
Yeah, that's basically one of the things he can do is cap rents and things like that. I think that's a good idea.
Greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you had to take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so,
okay, definitely not literally chaos. Come on, dude. Like, seriously, it wasn't. I understand it was sort of chaotic, but literal chaos, no. Come on, dude. Don't. What are you doing?
We put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people. The $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
And to be honest with you, the whole question is kind of flawed, because it's, what do you say to people who believe they were better off under Trump, right? So a lot of the reason why people don't feel better off is because of what Fox News is doing. They're basically saying that the economy is the worst it's ever been in. It's absolutely in free fall. The stock market is terrible, and it's not. That's the thing. A lot of it is people feel like the economy is really bad because they keep getting told it, and it's not. That's the thing. But Fox News just keeps on saying it, and it's amazing that a news program is allowed to do that, like just allowed to lie about the state of the economy. It's incredible, but a lot of the reason is because people feel that way because they're watching these news programs that tell them that it's so bad. And I don't know what you say to that. Like, stop watching Fox News. I don't know what you say to that. But inflation is high. Yeah.
Thank you, President Trump.
We had the greatest economy in the history of our country.
No, you didn't. No, you did not. You absolutely did not. The boom after the like the 80s Silicon Valley boom was way better economy. Like, what are you talking about? Oh my, no.
We have never done so well.
That's a lie. That's like never done so. No, absolutely not. I presume he means during his presidency. Absolutely not.
Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with.
No, they weren't. In fact, your pandemic response was the very worst thing possible you could do. The very worst thing. What other countries did was way better. Yes, it was hard on the economy having sort of lockdowns and things like that. It was hard, but in the long run, it was way better because once you got up and running, everything was, not the amount of people were sick. You weren't having the amount of people dying. This is ridiculous. Wow. He said 2 words and already he's lying his ass off. This is incredible.
COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929.
Actually, it was more the states that spent the money. Trump. That's another lie. He did very, very minimal support for everybody.
By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many.
From who? I'm gonna do a 0.5 for that one because he gives himself credit, but nobody else does. I'm not sure who's got a lot of credit from who, but I don't think the economy. Look, partially it partially was not Trump's fault because COVID, it was upending the economy, sure, but you can't just lie about it and say that it was the best it's ever been. I mean, come on.
Many other things. Everything was rocking good, but the thing we never got the credit.
Everything was rocking good. Everything was, holy crap, everything was rocking good. No, everything was not rocking good.
For, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created.
No, you didn't get. What are you talking about? You disparaged Fauci. You disparaged the states that did take precautionary measures against the spread of the disease. You did everything wrong. He even held off on telling the people news about COVID because he thought he might be unpopular. It was terrible. Terrible.
Mandates. That was a disaster for our country. But
no, wow.
Other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible.
The stock market was higher than pre-COVID. Was the stock market higher than pre-COVID? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that it was going fine until COVID hit. I think it was going okay, but that was in the afterwards. So yeah, so another fall on Friday. Let's see, when was this from? 2020. 2016. It sank more than 4%. Stocks have collapsed about 35% since coronavirus spread. Yeah. So this is from the New York Times. Basically, it says that no, that's not. Highest stock market in history by far. That was his peak, and it wasn't the highest in history. No. And it became a record fall. So yeah, it did rise. It did definitely rise. And then it absolutely fell. So no, it wasn't what he said.
The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID.
That's not true. That is not true. there was the American Rescue Plan Act. But I mean, you're talking about 6.7 million jobs in his first 12 months of office. That is just such a blatant lie. Holy crap.
He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter is that we find ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history.
Is that true? Largest tax cut in American history. President Trump cut the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, the largest percentage point reduction of the top marginal rate in history. So yeah, that's actually true. The President Trump's tax cuts are the biggest gross tax cuts in American history, cutting over $5.5 trillion in taxes over 10 years. Yeah. He's not wrong.
$2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term.
Deficit. $7.8 trillion. What the hell? Yeah. It depends how you're measuring it, really. By the amount, it's the largest. It's the third biggest relative to the size of the economy. So that is a touch misleading, but it definitely is true that it was the largest in US history by sort of dollar value. Absolutely.
He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea
Factcheck.org. Oh, geez, yeah, no. His final years, the economy lost 2.9 million jobs. The unemployment rate increased by 1.6% to 6.3%. Damn. That's actually true. He lost 2.9. How do you lose 2.9 million jobs in an economy where he says he's going to bring back jobs? That's insane. I mean, probably partially it wasn't his fault. Like COVID definitely was a factor in that, but Biden's not wrong.
that he did something that was significant. And the military, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that.
Neither did Obama. Yeah, and I think the withdrawal from Afghanistan was disastrous, and that was under Biden's watch. So I'm not sure why he's bringing that up. That's pretty bad, to be honest with you, because that withdrawal from Afghanistan, leaving all of the interpreters and all of the support people, but that was awful. So I don't know why he's bringing that up. That seems misadvised. I don't know what he's thinking.
When he was president, we still found ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying.
Okay, unemployment was not 15%. No, I don't know where you're getting these figures from. 9% inflation when he took office. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about like things that Biden has said? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, no, it wasn't 9%. Oh, unemployment was 15%. It was 6.4. Yeah, 6.3. Yeah. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. I didn't hear him say that in this debate though. What I don't hear him saying that in this debate. So I'm just going to stick to this debate, mate.
Anywhere in the world, like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Sorry, what do you say?
As president, we still found ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
Yeah, you did? You did? When did Biden actually pull out of Syria? I don't know. I feel that's kind of dodgy. He only did it. He only did it like sort of towards 2023 or so.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
You want allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want
to Can I respond? Can I say something? Okay. Well, I mean,
impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cause countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness.
Oh, come on. Are you serious? Oh, Trump. Jesus. Look, if you put a 10% tariff on things, it will raise prices higher. It definitely will. There's no doubt about it. Like, where does he think this money comes from? Like, so a tariff doesn't reduce the cost. Like, he thinks that a tariff reduces the cost of products coming. It doesn't. It's an extra charge that the government puts on something for stuff made outside. It's supposed to incentivize national companies producing things in the country by driving the prices higher for imported goods. That's you're an idiot.
China is going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is
no, the people that they will just increase their prices across the board, and it'll still be lower than what will make it. The people that will pay for that will be the ordinary people. That's terrible.
I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs.
He did not have all the jobs. He lost a ton of jobs. What is he talking about?
And the jobs went down and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No.
Bounce back jobs. I don't know what he's talking about. What exactly are bounce back jobs? Look, even if like sort of, yeah, there was definitely during the pandemic, it was you know, a lot of jobs were lost, especially in the service industry. Sure. Service industry, sure. But you can't say bounce back jobs, you know, like
he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months and then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was probably the worst administration in history. There's never been.
No, that's not true. That is patently not true.
And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President
Oh, that is 100% not true. The most embarrassing day in the history of your country. Oh, come on, dude. What are you talking about? Yeah, it was a pretty sloppy exit strategy, but he wasn't getting out at all. Like he wasn't leaving Afghanistan at all. I don't know. That's really weird.
Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID.
No, it didn't. The tax cut didn't spur the greatest economy we've ever seen because it wasn't the greatest economy you've ever seen. It definitely wasn't. It definitely was not. Wow. Wow.
And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country.
Oh, that is not true. That is 100% not true. The US did not get through COVID better than any other country. No way. Get out of here, dude. New Zealand did so well. Like, seriously, I was in Australia and we lost very few people. New Zealand did fantastic. All right. They're a very, very, sort of. No, what are you talking about?
But we spurred that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that, we took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country.
No, they didn't. No, you didn't. That's the thing. You increased the debt in order to make up for it. That is not true. That is absolutely not true.
The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet.
Wow. I don't know where he gets this crap from, because he wasn't just about to start paying off debt. He was about to open it up to take more debt on and lower the interest rates more. Like, wow.
The oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with.
What did you come up with? The therapeutics? What are you talking about? Is he on about that horse worming stuff? The Intervictin? Because it wasn't. It was scientists doing work and found a vaccine that did it. Not some kind of therapeutic. What are you talking about? This man got COVID and was hospitalized. Oh. What the hell?
We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration. And
oh, that is a blatant lie. That is a blatant lie. That is 100% a lie. I mean, I think million people died. And look, it's not his fault. Well, it's not entirely his fault. I mean, it was a pandemic. It was a horrible disease that attacked people and killed them. But wow. Okay, how do we actually compare on coronavirus? What's this? 2 years ago, 2022. 1 million COVID-19 deaths. Okay. No, that is actually true. There was 399,200 COVID-19 deaths under President Trump and 601,157 COVID-19 deaths under President Biden. It started in March of 2000. Yes. So no, it started in March of 2020. The graph that I'm looking at. Yeah, so it's 2020, and then by the time, yeah, so Biden was in power a lot longer. So here's the thing, like it started in about 2020, of course. Yeah, so January 2021. Yeah, so 2020 was the first year of COVID, and the rest has been. Then again, Biden's had the vaccine out, kind of thing. So, what's really upsetting is people still aren't getting vaccinated. That's what is really upsetting. So it is a little. He's not wrong. I'm not gonna say he's lying, but it is a little misleading, let's say, to say that hey, he had more deaths, because if you take it as sort of deaths per year in office, Trump had way more, like way more.
We were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine.
Okay, yeah, he did a mandate on it. So that's the reason why less people died. What are you talking about? You're like, this is COVID misinformation. How do you get this man give medical misinformation in a presidential debate? What the hell?
And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political.
We're like a third world nation. Oh my God. Has this man ever traveled outside of his country? Ever? Seriously?
Opponent, all of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, he got $2 trillion tax cut.
Yeah, he's not wrong. But there was there was larger national debts. That's misleading as well, because there were larger national debts for the size of the economy, because inflation, you know, sort of back in World War II, there was a larger national debt per size of GDP. But, you know, there was a war on kind of thing. I think he's being a little bit hyperbolic, but, you know.
Benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they've raised $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, childcare, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with.
What the hell is this guy talking about? Okay, so he's not wrong. Trump did cut taxes to he did cut taxes to millionaires and billionaires kind of thing. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. I think he's saying he'd be able to provide everything that everybody wants is just complete horseshit. Like, that is ridiculous. No.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Was right.
We beat Medicare. What the hell? What's that supposed to mean? We beat Medicare. How did you beat Medicare? What? I don't understand. I don't. What? I don't understand that. Just a little thing. I've got okay. Just give me one sec, and I will get this out. Sorry, it's a little bit silly what I have to do to get this happening in StreamYard, but I'm going to work with it. So here's the score so far. It's 3-24 on the liar meter. So I think that they're both using a lot of hyperbole and a lot of this, but Trump's lies are just outrageous, like absolutely outrageous. I don't understand how the man is allowed to just sit there and lie. Just giving you a running tally of where it's up to at the moment. So yeah, that's essentially where it's at.
He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming.
Okay, that's not true. That is 100% not true. Like, come on. He beat it to death? Oh.
And they're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security.
What is he talking about? I don't... You don't even want Social Security to be there. Trump doesn't even want there to be a Social Security. He tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act without any kind of policy to put in its place. Thank you so much, you hooligan. $2 Canucka. This is for the liar meter. Well, I mean, I'd prefer you gave it to me, but I'll pass it along to the liar meter. It's very hard to do. StreamYard does not play well with this kind of thing, but that's okay. That's all right.
Millions and millions of people coming in. They're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with.
Well, I don't believe you when you say all of this stuff. Like, you know, the Affordable Care Act, I don't understand what his problem is with it. It should go further. It should be more efficient. It should take care of people better, not less.
A lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think
we give them everything they want. They don't like us. Wow,
we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done.
So the US is involved with a number of alliances with different countries, and the idea that they do nothing for the US is just horse crap, absolute horse crap. They do a lot for you. Like things like international trade, being able to put bases on other countries, being able to have intelligence alliances with countries around the world. It's absolute horse crap.
Is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President.
No, it's not criminal. No. We make alliances. That's what we do. Look, here's an example, right? Australia's in an alliance with America. Now, we've allowed America to put bases on our soil. Some Australians aren't happy about it. I know that they're a very important ally, and as an Australian, I'll never forget that America really bailed us out during World War II in the Pacific, right? But think about this. What country would the US allow to have bases on their soil? Because we allow America to. Okay, that's not nothing. That's not we're not doing anything for you. Like, the thing is that Trump is burning his alliances down to the ground. He is burning his bridges. No, countries are not going to want to deal with this man at all.
Trump, Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with it.
Did they? It rejected a bid to restrict the abortion pill. I'm not sure about approved. Yeah, okay. I suppose that's close enough.
A decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex, but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religion.
No, that is absolutely not true. That is absolutely not true. Like 63% of Americans say that abortion should be legal in all or most cases, while 36% say it should be illegal. This decision is kind of against the will of the people. Over 60% support choice in their bodily autonomy. I don't know why he thinks this, but it's absolutely a lie. Absolutely.
Leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now,
no, that's not true. absolutely not true.
Years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the States. I did that.
No, they didn't. No. All legal scholars. What are you talking about? That is 100% not true. Because it is a bodily autonomy issue. It should be protected as part of your constitutional right of freedom. What is he talking about?
Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like
no. It's because sort of people in states will be able to affect the minorities in those states.
Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important.
Yeah, but that's what's happening. We have that 12-year-old giving birth because they couldn't get an abortion after they've been knocked up by somebody that assaulted them. You know, it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. It's been a nightmare.
Some people don't follow your heart, but you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things, you got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth.
That is 100% a lie. Nobody is saying the 8th and 9th month. You know what a 9th month abortion is? It's a delivery. That's so stupid. That is such a blatant lie.
Birth. If you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you.
The country is coming together on the issue. What a load of horse hockey. What? It's like the most divisive issue. And as I pointed out, Pew Research has 63% of people support the right to choose. 63%. They are not coming together. What a frigging lie.
President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided.
Yeah.
Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states, let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal. There's a lot of...
What the fuck is this guy talking about? What is he talking about? A young girl was murdered. Well, she's not having a baby. Are you talking... What is Biden talking about? Like, seriously.
Young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous. And they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that is true. I mean, a 12-year-old had that happen, and she has had a baby. Can you imagine how screwed up that kid is going to be? I don't know how you even begin to deal with just the trauma of something like that, much less being forced to carry your abuser's baby, like at 12. Holy crap. I think she's 13 now that she had the baby, but holy crap.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border.
Look, Biden just had made no sense whatsoever. Like, no sense. a girl was killed by somebody. Well, she's not having a baby. I don't get what you're talking about, Biden. What are you talking about?
Border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming.
What has this got to do with the question? What's this got to do with the question? This has nothing to do with the question. Where are the moderators? Get these people back on topic. Like, seriously, what are they doing? And he didn't open up the borders. That's not true. What the hell?
Coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue.
The founders, if they knew about this issue. What is he talking about? What is this man talking about?
Which, frankly, they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion.
That's not true. That is 100%. I've seen legal experts and legal scholars talking about how. So, as far as I know, and I'm no legal expert, I do have to admit, but as far as I know, when it comes to sort of state rights versus federal rights, when you're dealing with something that only affects people in one state, that should be governed under state rights. So if you're talking about how that state does its certain things, like how it manages its national its parks, or how it manages its certain institutions and things like that in that state. But when you're talking about something that affects people in general across the country, like general countrywide legislature, usually it will go to federal, and that's what I've heard. So things like abortion, where it affects all women across the country, should be legislated federally, as far as I know. And that's what I've heard a couple of legal scholars say. But I could be wrong, but that's what I've. So he's wrong. He's just lying when he says all of the scholars, because I've seen, people disagree.
President Biden, 7 states. I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able?
What's Biden? He looks. What is he understanding what she's saying?
To terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians...
Wow, he's not making a lot of sense. I don't know if he's lying, but he's certainly not making any sense whatsoever. Yeah, it had 3 trimesters. So the first one was, voluntary first trimester. Second one was the doctor. And the third one was some sort of emergency, health risk or something.
That the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. What gives a dumbass like Trump the credentials to make medical decisions about somebody's body? Why are we listening to a bunch of old bastards basically going on about what they want? It's ridiculous.
How it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because
that's not what Roe v. Wade says. Even after birth. Did anybody just hear that? Did I just hear that? He can take the life of the baby after birth. That isn't an abortion, Trump. That's a murder. What is he talking about?
Some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down.
No, nobody is doing that. What are you talking about? After birth. That means the baby is born. No, literally nobody is saying that. Nobody's saying that. And Biden just said, well, I mean, he was confused. I think I know what he said. He supports what Roe v. Wade has in it, which is a series of 3 trimesters. You under certain situations do the trimester. So him saying that you can just take the life of the baby wherever you want, including after it's born, is just a lie.
And then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. No,
he didn't actually say that. I think that's a bit of a that's a bit of a lie about what he said, and he's using horribly dishonest language right now. Yeah, hooligan member for 9 months. I think Trump secretly wants to abort Eric. Well, he's definitely been born. I think Eric is a baby, though, so he definitely counts for one of those criteria.
Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die.
Yes.
That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion.
Yeah, only when the woman's life is in grave danger, like from an ectopic pregnancy or like I think that Biden, like, he could have been a lot more clear. But Trump's just lying about what Roe v. Wade actually says. I think Biden's dropped the ball here because he could have been a lot more clear, but Trump's just outright lying.
You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? In fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden.
Yeah, cut him off. Cut that sucker off. I'm not sure if we can say that he will sign it and he'll veto it. I don't think that Biden knows that. Would he sign it? I think he would, but I don't. I don't know. He didn't get the opportunity to sort of say whether he would.
A record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch, overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office.
Yeah, so the budget did include to hire 350 Border Patrol agents, $535 million in security. We have to remember that he's not wrong that he did introduce a bill to increase border security, and Trump shot it down. And he shot it down because he did not want the border problem to be solved by Biden, as far as I know. No, the Border Patrol did not endorse Biden at all. A union for its agents endorsed the bipartisan Senate proposal that the White House negotiated public. So they endorsed the bill that was shot down, but they endorsed the bill that was shot down, but that they never got endorsement to Biden himself. So I think that is a lie.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border.
Yeah, I'm a bit fuzzy on that one myself. Okay, good night, Ember. You take care. Take care. Sleep well. Yeah.
In the history of our country, the border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum.
No. What are you talking about? No, the people trying to get the border were asylum seekers and immigrants. They're not all from prisons. And wow.
Terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere, all over the world. They're pouring in.
Okay, that's just a lie. That's just outright a lie. I mean, I have no doubt that there are terrorists out there. It's just, wow.
And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say.
Did they endorse Trump for president? I'm not 100% sure that's true either.
That, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you, President
caravans.
Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed in his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people. That's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating. He's lying.
President Trump?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is. I mean, at least Biden's couching his statements in, I'm not saying there's no terrorists out there, but yeah, this whole idea they're pouring across the borders from prisons and mental asylums is ridiculous.
Staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists.
No, he's saying that. What the hell? No, he said that the only terrorist was one from Al-Qaeda that came across the border and killed 3 people under your watch. Soleimani was an Irani general, which you sunk the Iran deal, the Iran nuclear deal. and then killed one of their generals, making it impossible to negotiate. Like, wow.
Anywhere in the world, and it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California,
What?
and every
What?
state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because
Every state now is a border. What does that even mean? What does that mean? I don't understand what that means. It's a rat's nest. They're killing everybody. Every state is a border.
of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level.
Migrants don't actually commit that much crime. They're relatively sort of less than they're less likely to commit crimes than people born in the US. This is an absolute lie. He's just sort of trying to make people afraid.
That we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these three incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and he just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the book.
An uncivilized country all of a sudden. What does that no. No. And wow.
Borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like, and we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living.
So the question was, for those who don't remember, the question was, how are you going to accomplish? Are you going to throw out people that have jobs, have spouses, and have been there for decades, kind of thing, undocumented immigrants or illegal immigrants that have been there for ages? So people that are doing menial work, we know they are in like California, mowing lawns and doing stuff. There's a lot of people doing that, and they're undocumented immigrants. The question was, number one, will you be throwing out those people who have spouses? Number two, will you be throwing out people that have been there for years? And will you be throwing out people that have jobs? That was the question. And number two is, how are you going to accomplish this? And he is not answering the question. This is where the moderator should say, the question was this. You're not answering the question. Answer the question. How are you going to accomplish this? Are we going to have a task force with troopers that go round and find these people? Are you going to have sort of a sort of booths that do sort of paper checks on people? How are you going to accomplish this?
In luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't like the military at all.
What? He doesn't like the military at all. Look, I have no doubt, like, the truthful thing is veterans are suffering on the streets, but I don't think immigrants are living in hotels in New York. That's blatant lie. Unless you're touting the immigrants as your wife, Trump. Maybe that's what he's talking about. What the hell?
And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA.
I'm not sure that's true. VA outpatient care, the highest trust scores reached 90% under Trump and nearly 92% under Biden. So that's not true. No, he did not. No, he did not. Not true. That's a lie.
He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things.
Choice that I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
I approved. They abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done.
No, that is not true. That is not true. It's not down by half. In fact, he had a higher veteran approval rating than you did. So that is not true.
All these great things that we did, and I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in.
Okay, so the question was, is he going to deport long-term migrants with jobs, family, and have been here decades? And how is he going to accomplish that? And he just failed to answer the question completely. He just went on and on and on about Biden. It's absolutely terrible. That's a terrible answer. And to be honest with you, the moderator should be saying, hey, this was the question. You haven't answered it.
It's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance and their families have it.
He did expand the healthcare coverage. There was 1 million PACT Act claims. I think there was more than 1 million claims. I'm not sure about 1 million people. I think that might be a little bit misleading. More than 888,000 veterans. So it isn't actually true. It's very misleading because there was over 1 million claims, but there wasn't 1 million actual veterans. So that is slightly misleading. I'm going to count that. That's not true.
Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
President Trump.
Oh, wow. All right. Biden's getting fired up. I don't think that's a lie. I think Kelly actually sort of confirmed that, who was Trump's military head of military at the time. General Kelly confirmed that. Yeah, John Kelly said that. So, I mean, John Kelly was his choice for his military head. So, I don't know.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine.
No. John Kelly said it. General John Kelly was the one that said that. I mean, you picked him. You picked him. He was your chief in staff. He was your chief in staff. They didn't make up anything. If anything, your chief of staff made it up, but that was your chief of staff that said it. That's another lie. They didn't make up anything. The story that your chief in staff said that you called veterans suckers and losers, that was actually said by General John Kelly, who was your chief of staff. Now, whether he made it up is a different story, but they didn't make that up. They just repeated what he said.
that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had
no. John Kelly said that. And you take it up with John Kelly. They didn't make it up.
19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have.
Oh, that's absolutely not true. That's absolutely not true. So there was, I think sort of some things he did, you know, a lot of things he didn't. I think he did shoot down a few bills that would have helped veterans. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. John Kelly said it. And that was your chief of staff at the time. Look, you can say John Kelly made it up, but he didn't make it up that John Kelly said that.
It's made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation.
Wait, he's going on to, what's that got to do with anything? 51 agents said that his laptop, is he talking about Hunter's laptop? Yeah, so yeah, I don't. So these weren't actual agents. They were contractors. They were subcontractors to the CIA. They weren't actual agents employed by the US government. So it's a bit, it's very misleading. It's very misleading.
It wasn't. That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing on your side was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one.
John Kelly.
And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history.
I don't know about that one. Yeah, I don't think that's true either. I think that's, you know, they did nothing to reverse the privatization of the VA system. They they've renegotiated VA union contracts. I don't think that's true. I really don't. I really do not.
and they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy.
Oh, for Christ's sake. No, that's not true. He had higher approval ratings among veterans than you did, Trump. I don't know why he's lying so blatantly, but he's just lying blatantly.
Can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine.
Oh, that's such a blatant lie. That's such a blatant lie. Holy crap. That is just wrong. Wow.
A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in.
What the hell are you talking about? Encouraged Russia to go into Ukraine. What is that based upon?
What happened? He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
But he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of...
Okay, so the question was, would you support Russia's terms with Ukraine to keep all their current territory? That was the question. And he's again just going to Biden sucks. That's his answer. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind.
No, they didn't. Not enough. Yeah, I mean, there was some people left behind. We're not sure how many that had intentions to leave. I guess, but we didn't just leave them behind. They were unable to get out.
When Putin saw that, he said, "You know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take my." This is
that is.
Talk to him about it.
Yeah, no, that's not what Putin had already annexed Crimea at that point. This has got nothing to do with the question. Nothing to do with the question.
The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded.
Lie.
In a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because...
What? Does he know how long Hamas and Israel have been at war? What is he talking about?
Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
Wow. Just lie after lie after lie after lie.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it recently.
Brain damage for a number of these troops. What the hell is he talking about? Was that the attack on the base in Iraq? I don't know what he's talking about.
Not when he was president. They attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got
he's
over
talking about Iraq.
100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
I don't think Russia's lost 500,000 troops. I'm not sure about that one. Let's see if I can find a tally on the latest. See the Russian Federation civilian deaths, war on Donbass. Oh, no, up to 500,000 estimated casualties during the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But I believe that's both sides, so I'm not sure if he's talking about just Russia. Oh, no, that's Ukrainian forces, Russian forces. Yeah, so according to so it does vary. The UK estimate is 500,000. The armed forces of Ukraine say that they've suffered 409,000 casualties, but this is misleading because it kind of includes just wounded. So when we're talking casualties, it doesn't mean deaths. It doesn't mean deaths, right? It means killed and wounded. So I think that is a little bit misleading, hedging on lies.
President Trump,
I
if
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute. I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable
Yes.
to you? Keeping the territory.
Yes, hold him to the question. That he did not answer the question at all in any way, shape, or form.
in Ukraine.
Acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that
No,
never
they're not acceptable. Okay.
should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion.
$200 billion. Something of 107 billion of aid to Ukraine. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's only about 113 billion. I don't think it's 200 billion. 175 after this package. Yeah, it may be that high. It may be that high. Yeah, it's 117. Congress has approved 174 billion. Yeah, so it's not 200. He's actually just inflating the numbers. That's a lie.
That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th.
I don't think he will. I think he'll just give Ukraine to Russia. I think he's just gonna, just yeah.
I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of
That's true. He is a war criminal. The Hague has a warrant for his arrest. So the Hague is in Netherlands. It's basically the head of the it's basically where war criminals are tried, essentially. It basically, they have the term, like he's carried out attacks on civilians. He's had members of military dress up as civilians and carry out attacks. He's attacked nuclear power plants and critical life-saving facilities for civilians. He's threatened nuclear war on multiple occasions in order to get what he wants. He's a war criminal. But then again, so is Netanyahu. So
empire, not just a piece who wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then do you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine from weapons we make here in the United States, we give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have.
Yeah, and not just NATO. Also, we've given stuff to Ukraine as well. Bushmaster Jeeps, which are really good, just tough as nails. And all countries are contributing. It's sort of a global contribution to Ukraine. Ukraine. Actually, by percentage of GDP, Finland has actually given the most, probably because they've got a lot of stake in it. I imagine they've got a lot of stake in it. Latvia's given a lot, Estonia's given a lot, Lithuania. So the countries that are most going to be threatened by Russia, as well as Denmark, have given the most by percentage of GDP, of course. If you want to account for raw dollars, sure. I get what you're saying.
That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive.
Yeah, he looks like a deer in the spotlights. Look at, dude, what are you doing? They seriously, relax, man.
Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas, number one. They're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized.
Yeah, I don't think that's a particular credit for you. Israel's kind of using them to kill innocent civilians, which is
against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so they're 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second.
I don't think he should be allowed to go back to Ukraine. Like the questions move to Israel and Hamas now.
Ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent 100 billion or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them? So you got to put up your money like I did with NATO. I got them.
Yeah, so America has a way bigger GDP than, say, Latvia, sir. I don't know if you understand this. What the hell is wrong with this guy? Like, seriously, he doesn't understand how world finance works. He's supposed to be a businessman. It's like, you've got you've got to put up security cameras somewhere, and you've got a massive corporation, and you're expecting like the local greengrocer to put up the same amount of money as you are. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Like, seriously, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
Up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen.
Secretary General of NATO. Did he say Secretary General of NATO?
Why doesn't he call them? So you got to put up your money like I did with NATO. I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump.
Does NATO even have a Secretary General? No, I mean, Trump said that so the Secretary General of NATO was Jens Stoltenberg. And he sort of made an agreement with him. And Trump was saying that he's amazing and he's happy with the Secretary General. I don't think he said the same about Trump. Wow. Okay. This is just weird. Budapest referendum? Okay. Sure, Robin. No, European parties. Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure what I'm looking for on this. There's a lot on it, Robin. You're going to have to be more specific. I don't know what I'm looking for. Under the agreement, the Russian Federation provides security assurances to Ukraine in the form promising neither to attack nor to threaten to attack them. Non-military support for Ukraine in exchange for its adherence to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. Okay. So the United States, United Kingdom, and France pledged this support to the Ukraine in order for them to remove nuclear weapons from their soil, essentially. And this happened in 1994. So this is actually, the support of Ukraine is something that is actually sort of an agreement between the US and Ukraine. Gotcha. But the UN Secretary General didn't say that Trump was amazing.
Did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to.
No. Trump said that Jens Stoltzman was amazing and the best he's ever seen. Not the other way around. Jens Stoltenberg didn't say that.
We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want.
Wow. They should let them go and let them finish the job. What job there, Trump? Would that be genocide? Do these people know that sort of maybe a warrant's coming out for Netanyahu as a war criminal as well? Do they know that?
Dude, he's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
Wow, that's insane.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us.
Okay, so he wants to pull out of NATO, which is the most dangerous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. The whole idea that we just abandon NATO, that the military alliance between the United Kingdom, France, America, Canada, like, what are you talking about? He's basically going, well, no one will attack America, so why should I care? Yeah, that's what happened in World War II when Britain didn't support the rest of Europe for the start of the war, and then it was too late. It was too late. Wow, okay, this is weird. Wow.
On trade, I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this. I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time? And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
No, that is not true. That is 100% not true. No, they're not paying everybody's bills. And it wasn't hundreds of billions. It was 100 billion in defense spending.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes.
This is going to be good. Yeah, no, you 100% incited them to do so. This is going to be interesting. Will you accept the election results, sir?
You swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again? Not only can I believe that, and let me tell you about January 6th.
I don't think many people believe that. What? Is it staticky? Okay. StreamYard's decided to shitbet. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. All right. Was the music staticky as well? I'm interested to know. I'm interested to know. Let me know. Was the music staticky as well? Let me know. Give me some feedback. Okay. Let me know. I need to know. You may be wondering where we're at with the old line meter. Just a sec. I can't see chat for some reason. The music was fine. The bait audio. Yep. I don't know what's wrong with StreamYard. It sometimes just absolutely craps the bed. Yeah, I'm just wondering if I left you with staticky music. I would never have forgiven myself. This is the Lion meter as it stands. Yeah. I feel like this is a bit. It's really lopsided. It got worse. Like it started out bad. Oh boy, did it get worse. Oh boy, did it get worse. Absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. I'll go for as long as I can. I'm not sure about how much of this I can actually stand, to be honest with you. This is absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely shocking. Look, I can't imagine how my friends and comrades and loved ones in America are are coping with this. I mean, this is insane. Insane. Woof. All right, I'm just going to get chat up so I can see you lovely people. I have to get organized again. Okay, I'm going to start it. Just give me feedback on the sound, if the sound has feedback, or whatever it was doing, statically or squelching or whatever.
On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world.
What is he talking about? The grace borders, the lowest regulation. What? No, I think there have been lower regulations. Like, seriously, the 80s was pretty wild. Can someone give me feedback? Can you hear the audio? Is it all good again? Did I fix it? Am I good boy? Somebody tell me. I don't know.
All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in.
No.
And we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. That what happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't be.
Wait. This is about January the 6th. Weaponization. He'll go after his political opponents. What are you talking about?
Fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing.
What? The National Guard? You're in charge of the National Guard. Why is Pelosi? Was it Pelosi the Speaker of the House? What is he talking about? He was the president. Give me one sec. Just gonna refresh. No, that is not true. That is false. That is a lie. Pelosi as the Speaker does not direct the National Guard. When the Capitol came under attack, she and the then Senate Majority Mitch McConnell called for military assistance, including from the National Guard. Okay, that's just an out-and-out lie.
By the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down. The mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. The mayor of D.C. didn't turn it down. Wow, that's just a lie. That's just an outrageous lie.
I could see. I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her, and she now admits that she turned it down.
No, that's just an outrageous lie. That is absolutely outrageous.
And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they've talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. You know, they've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He didn't do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that there could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Yeah. He said they were fine people, and he's the one that sort of said, go down to the Capitol. I will be going down there with you. I'll be right behind you. Now, I don't think that's tantamount to telling them to riot and storm the Capitol, but the fact that he didn't do anything about it is horrendous. It's horrendous. Like he was the president at the time. He ought to have done something. Biden was just the president-elect. He was the president, the current sitting president. It's his watch. He can't blame other people. Like Pelosi was the speaker. What's the Speaker of the House going to do? What's she going to do? She doesn't have control over the National Guard. I have no idea.
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've
They're so innocent. They're so innocent.
destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the
Okay, so this is whataboutism. This is sort of being really dishonest about we're talking about the Capitol. The Capitol, January 6th, Capitol, where they invaded the Capitol building and tried to hang Mike Pence. That. People were shot. People pooped in the Capitol building.
National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing, the unselected.
They were so patriotic. No.
Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats. They destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right.
He's still parading this stolen election thing. They did not destroy the information. That is a lie.
And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, was turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have.
Let him answer. Is he going to? Tapper, what are you doing? He was asked a direct question by his opposition. Are you going to denounce the January 6th rioters that tried to take over the Capitol and kidnap members of the Capitol building, Parliament, the legislature? Are you going to denounce them? Are you going to? What is wrong with this man? Like, seriously, you're interrupting to ask a different question. That's the question. Are these people good people?
After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies.
Oh, for fuck's sake. You know what? What is frustrating is that they're not fact-checking him for a start. That's frustrating. No one's fact-checking anybody. They should be fact-checking Trump. They should be fact-checking Biden. Because Biden hasn't been entirely honest as well. I think he's been way more honest than Trump, but what did you expect? But Tapper, what are you doing? That was a very valid question. Very valid. Does he denounce the people who charged the Capitol? And he just switches to a different question. What are you doing? What the hell are you doing?
last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
Oh, that's whataboutism. It doesn't matter. It like the fact that his son is a convicted has nothing to do with the fact that you are a convicted felon.
Very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon.
And the most frustrating thing is they're not holding Trump to topic. He should be speaking on the topic. He just goes off, and they just let him get away with it.
As soon as he gets out of office, Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things.
Joe could be a convicted felon with everything that he's done. I think you need evidence for that, sir. You need evidence.
All of the death cause at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man.
How is this addressing the question? How is this addressing the question? Would you go up him and he's talking about his son? What are you talking about?
As a criminal, this man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was
that's a lie.
disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
He is a convicted felon, and he did fraudulently change his books constantly. And the entire saga of him giving funneling money through to a porn star for her silence, whether he did those actions or not, we're pretty sure that he did, but whether he did the actions with that porn star or not, he still illegally funneled money through to her in order to cover it up for the election. And that's what he was convicted of under New York law.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with. And think of all the civil...
I got to say, hang on a second. I just want to test this because Joe Biden seems to be talking completely normally.
Penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having...
Yeah. He's like 1.25. Biden's talking completely normally. He's so slow. Oh my. Oh yeah. Yeah, so the molesting a woman in public was sexual misconduct, which he's had a lot of allegations against him, like a lot. Oh boy. I'm trying to find the one that he's probably talking about. McDowell, I believe it was. And I think she settled in a lawsuit. But the amount of women that have claimed that Trump has assaulted them is insane. It's like over a dozen. Yeah, I think it's closer to 20 kind of thing. It isn't a small amount.
Having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give me a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case.
I think that's a lie. I'm going to chalk that up to a lie. I think he did. Honestly, like, come on now. Why would you give that amount of money to someone like Stormy Daniels just because? Like, seriously.
That was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking.
I think he's talking about Aragon here, who's fine as a judge. Like, he's pretty impartial. It's just that Trump is a terrible litigant. That's all. He's an absolutely terrible litigant.
Ranking Democrats appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has.
I don't think that's true. I think Bernie's campaign was actually took in way more money than yours. It was definitely, yeah, he came up with $112 million in June. Biden came up with 127 million. So no, that's a lie. That's just a lie. Yeah, but this question was about was about taking revenge on, yeah.
Ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy.
I really want to know if he condemns the January 6th attackers, though. That's like, maybe he just reads out whatever's in front of him, but that was something I want to know, and I'm sure the American people want to know that as well. Like, just a hard and fast, do you support this kind of action, you know, in democracy? Do you support those people breaking into the Capitol building? And he was asked it directly by Biden, and Tapper just breezed past it. It's important, because he seems to suggest that they were great patriots and stuff. It seems to suggest that he supports it. And wow.
Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming out. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever hear any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas, torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say, Nazis coming out of fields, carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas, were fine people? This is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that sir has been totally wiped out, because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous.
Wow. Okay. That's, I don't know why Biden ran, but like, what the hell?
We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency is without question the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story. And
No, he didn't. No, you said there were fine people on both sides. That's what are you talking about?
you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every reasonable anchor has debunked it.
No.
And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that. And he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Okay, I've about had as much as I can kind of stomach, to be honest with you. This is horrible, absolutely horrible. Give me one sec. All right, I put up a poll. Do you want to see me continue, or should I just call it here? Because this is painful. If Biden wasn't sped up, I don't think I could watch this at all. He's terrible, just terrible. He needs to talk with force and conviction, not sort of just sit there and mumble stuff. You know, he needs to take a leaf from Obama's book, who talked with conviction and sort of emphasized what he was going to do and how he was going to do it. For those wondering, here is the lie meter score. So Trump has over 10 times the lies that Biden does, which is just insanity. Like, we've only been, this is only like an hour. How you get that amount into an hour is it's beyond me. It's beyond me. You'd rather watch Jon Stewart's, I've watched that, and he wasn't wrong. Look, as I said earlier, Captain Red Bull, Jon Stewart is the Mark Twain of his generation. You know, definitely the Mark Twain of his generation. He's incredible. His wit, his astuteness, absolutely incredible. But if I'm going to continue, I'm going to leave the poll up. I'm just going to grab a coffee. I will leave you with some bopping music. I will be right back.
What if it bumped that control by accident? You'd be mincemeat by now. What have I told you?
All right, I guess I wasn't thinking.
You weren't thinking? You mean you'll work on engines and machinery and not thinking your own personal safety? Here, shake hands with danger.
Hello. Yeah, and we're back. Sorry about that, folks. I really needed a coffee to continue. And the yeses have it. Okay. All right. We're going to continue. I will push on. Keep calm and parry on. Okay.
Great.
Okay, well, we don't need to see the breakup. Debate night, America, commercial break in progress. Okay. Take it away, Happy.
Times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and Black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there are more small Black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two, the wages of Black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we find that
Is that true? Quarter one. Yeah, record high Black and Hispanic employment to population ratios, lower than expected growth and moderate inflation. So the inflation isn't great, but he's not wrong about the unemployment rates. In 2024, Kentucky was the only state with Black unemployment above 10%, which is great, which is fantastic. He's not wrong.
Providing housing for Black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporate corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that Black families have to make relative to childcare is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce Black childcare costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for childcare costs. We got to make sure, because when you provide those childcare protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So
yeah, I get where he's going with this. I like that he's actually sort of outlining what he's going to do for people, because Trump hasn't actually given one damn thing that he's going to actually do, apart from presumably make NATO do something, and I'm not sure what else he's going to do.
There's more to be done, considerably more to be done, but we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any Black family first-time home buyer should get.
How come they're holding Biden to that question when they don't hold Trump to any question? He just goes off on wild tangents. I don't get it.
$1,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those
But she's better than Tapper. She's way better because she's actually repeating the question if they don't answer it, which is more than he's damn well doing. This is a failure by CNN. I mean, I don't know. I think maybe they don't want to alienate Trump's audience because, whoever's watching, they need the numbers.
Families of those Black individuals who had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid their bills for 10 years on their student debt, all the rest was forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for Black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation.
He didn't cause the inflation. No president has control over the inflation. That's terrible. That's not. Like, how would he have done that? How would he have done that? I don't understand.
Right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing Black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food.
Well, kind of cat and bread, but that and corporate greed after COVID in order to make up their losses, kind of. But, you know, he's blaming Biden for something that absolutely is not his fault.
where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live.
No,
They're not
their costs have not quadrupled. That's a lie. Damn.
living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation.
Oh, that is not true. That is not true. Essentially no inflation. Get out of here, man. Like, that is just a blatant lie.
Was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New Scam and all of the other.
The Green New Deal didn't even happen. What is he talking about? That was proposed by AOC and the squad. It hasn't been passed at all. What are they talking about? It's a proposal. What are you talking about? Oh my God.
All this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking.
That's not true. That is absolutely not true.
Black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking.
$18, 19, 20 million people. I mean, look, they estimated in 2022, they estimated the entire population of illegal immigrants was about 11.35 million. Right? That's total. That is 100% a lie. That amount of people did not come over the border. Holy crap.
In Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 50% unemployment. He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time.
Well, it wasn't entirely his fault. I mean, there was COVID. That definitely, you know, played a part. I don't think it was entirely his fault.
There were no jobs. We provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals.
Thousands of millions of jobs. No, you didn't, sir. Not thousands. That would be billions of jobs. And no, you didn't.
In all communities, including minority communities, we made sure that they have health insurance.
An estimate says he made about 1 million jobs. Like, come on, let's not lie your ass off, sir.
We have covered, if the ACA has increased, I made sure that there are $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for healthcare. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again.
Yeah, that's not a lie. Trump does want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act and basically make medicine privatized. I don't think Trump cares if people can access medicine or not. I think he cares whether people who are rich get medicine and everybody else just suffers. I don't think he cares.
And they're going to try again if they win. We find ourselves in a position where...
I mean, Trump keeps saying he's going to come up with something better than the Affordable Care Act, and he's going to give Medicare for all, but he never actually does that. Like, his policies are not backing that up. And he's tried to repeal it all the time.
Yeah, that we're not doing any. We put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is
That's arguable, but yeah, I mean, he handled the pandemic really badly, like incredibly badly. The countries that came out the best were the ones that had the best handling of things like lockdowns, isolations, vaccine rollouts. All of this contributed to bouncing back from the pandemic. So he definitely botched that completely.
the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police
No,
are.
don't let him answer the question. Like, why are they letting him do this? He's getting the final word on everything because he's not answering any questions. This is the frustrating thing, because they'll go on to a question, ask him, then he'll address something from the previous question, nothing to do with the current one, and he'll never actually address the fucking question. Don't let him do that. Jay, that was the previous question. We're moving on to climate change. Address climate change. Go. Do not go back to the previous question.
Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost.
I don't think that's true. The largest police unions haven't announced a 2024 endorsement. The Police Officers Association of Michigan did. I don't think that's true, though. No, it's not. The largest police associations have not actually endorsed any candidate, so that isn't true.
Every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that.
What is he talking about? That is false. Trump had claimed that Biden had called African Americans super predators. He did a crime bill in 1994 where he called them super predators. I've never forgotten, and I've never got. Okay, so the then First Lady Hillary Clinton used the term super predators in a 1996 in New Hampshire in support of the 1994 crime bill. Biden did warn in 1993 a speech of predators on our streets, which were beyond the pale in support of the crime bill. Biden himself rejected the theory of super predators. So that is not true. That is something that Trump has made up. That's a lie. Another lie. I don't. This is, would Trump take any action to slow the climate crisis? They're just I am so frustrated at CNN, above all, like seriously. They know that he's going to do this. They should say, no, you can't just ramble about other things.
Super predators was his name, and he called it to them, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black...
Why are the moderators allowing this? He had a question directly posed to him. Every time he doesn't want to answer a question, he just makes up lies.
Colleges and universities where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job, great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers.
This isn't even about what Biden was talking about. This isn't even anything to do with what they were talking. Why are they allowing this? Why? He was posed a direct question by the moderator, and he's just allowed to just ramble on.
Them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for
That's
Hispanics.
not true.
But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You've 38 seconds left, President Trump. Will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers.
What the fuck are you talking about? That's got nothing to do with the climate crisis. We had absolutely the best water. No, you did not.
Ever. And we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best.
No, you weren't using all forms of energy. What are you talking about?
Environmental numbers ever. And
You had the best environmental numbers ever. Wow, that's a lie.
top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
Who? Who are these top environmental people? Who?
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college.
Just move on. Move on. Look, why are you going back to this? Climate change is where he's weak. Look, Biden sucks. He's just like, he's a good statesman. He's terrible right now. He should be going, this guy will do nothing for you. Clean water and having H2O are not actually going to stop any wildfires in California or any scrub fires throughout the rest. And when tornadoes come, he will not do anything about it. You can bring up his poor response to all of the hurricanes and stuff like that. Didn't he botch Katrina in a massive way? You know, you should be bringing up that. You know, bringing up all of his sort of ignoring of Hurricane Maria and Hurricane Katrina, and sort of his absolute botching of all of these emergency situations. That's where he's weak. He's weak in his response to any crisis that occurs. Oh, Katrina was W. Bush. Okay. Look, I'm sure he has screwed up. Was it Maria then? Didn't he reduce the size of the federal emergency stuff? FEMA? Yeah, no, he reduced the size of FEMA and his response to all of these crises. Yeah, Puerto Rico, you're right. You're right, Big Bad Mama. Yeah, and the thing is, Marty, like, he didn't do much during the wildfires. I remember Australians going over there to help with the wildfires. Because you might not know this, but Australians are very used to handling wildfires. It's one thing we know a lot about, because our country lights on fire every couple of years. So these are the sort of allies and sort of, we all band together to help each other when things get rough. And look, American firefighters came over to Australia on sort of Ash Wednesday when we had really bad fires. This is what our allies and friends do for each other. But he wants to just burn that to the ground, pardon the pun, but he wants to just treat everybody like it's transactional, like just, why would we help you? Yeah, let's not. Good shit. All right, so Biden's actually hitting him where it hurts. He pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. He did do that, yes. Yes. He has been the worst thing to happen to the environment since, it's muted? Is it? Look, Trump's been the worst thing to happen to the environment since Exxon Valdez, quite frankly. Like pulling out of you can't hear the audio. Wait a second. What's going on here? Share audio? Yes. Share audio. How about now? No, that is not true. That is 100% not true. No sound. No sound. Okay. All right. I'll try closing everything again. I'll be right back. This is going to be this is going to be a thing, All right, beautiful people. Let's try that again. Woo! Wonder if it's working this time.
Off of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones who was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before, insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get its under control? One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress.
Yeah, I'm aware.
By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps where thousands of young people will learn how to deal with them, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans,
Oh, dude, what are you doing? Like, by the way, yeah, it's cliched and horrible, and like he just stopped when the moderator said thank you. Trump doesn't stop, and Trump, like these moderators are fucking terrible. They're terrible. Like, they ask questions and they don't hold Trump to the questions. They let him ramble about whatever he wants. That is like, yeah, but Biden failed at this. CNN failed harder. They should have been moderators, not just passive onlookers to what's going on here.
Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I'm proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security?
Yeah, he's saying that millionaires have a 1% tax rate. I don't think that's true. I think it's low. I think it's like 8.2. Average American taxpayer is 13%, but 1%. I don't. I think that's not true. I mean, he's got a point, but it's not true. 1%. Oh, just for Social Security? Oh. Social Security payroll tax doesn't apply to earned income above a certain level. Wow. Yeah, that's bad. Okay, that's really bad. That's shocking.
Solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent. But the biggest thing will do it if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare both times. And and if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that I believe supports, is in fact wanting to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA.
Yeah, and Trump did try to repeal pre-existing. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I hear Captain Red Bull. It's bad. I get you, yes. But I'm really look, Biden's terrible on the way that he's speaking. He doesn't seem to have any force, any temerity behind what he's saying. He's kind of he's kind of waffling a bit. He's kind of not. He's just not. Like, it doesn't sound like he's ready to lead a country. It barely sounds like he's ready to lead a bingo hall. But the stuff he is saying actually makes sense as far as policy is concerned. Like, what policy has actually Trump talked about? He's just thrown a whole bunch of accusations at Joe Biden and then talked about random rubbish.
And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where I talk about education for Black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation.
What? And Joe hasn't? What are you talking about, dude? Seriously.
For the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He could look you in the face. About so many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the.
Wow. I don't know how Trump just doesn't burst into flame with the amount of lies that he's like. What the hell?
Military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare.
No one is putting illegal immigrants onto Social Security. That is a lie. Illegal immigrants do not get Social Security. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens there. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't.
What illegal immigrants are living in luxury hotels exactly? I don't know what. Like, he is just what are you talking about? Like, people are just coming over the border from Mexico and just living in luxury hotels.
To know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden.
The idea that veterans are not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Pearl Harbor had a lot of anger. I'm pretty sure 9/11 there was a lot of anger. That's just a lie.
Being taken care of. I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates you talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you.
Is that true? It's mostly true. 150 academic experts in presidential politics voted Trump the worst president in US history in a survey. The next number of surveys was 154, not 158. So he was off by 4, but he isn't wrong. A ridiculous number of academics like Trump. So we have a presidential greatness poll for scholars, Lincoln at the top and Trump solidly at the very bottom. Trump ranked 46, the very last spot. They graded a scale of 0 to 100, with 0 being a failure and 100 being great. Yeah, no, he sucks. Yeah, no, Biden's not lying. He's not lying.
Thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of childcare, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of childcare in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of childcare for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make childcare more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he
No, don't let him go back. Hold him to the question. Hold him to the frigging question. What are you doing? You asked him a direct question, and you're just letting him wander all over the place.
was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay.
Oh, you hired Kelly. He was your chief of staff. Wow.
A price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never.
That's not, yeah. It isn't like you shouldn't hire your staff with the attitude that you have to fire them. You should look for the staff you can work with and get results. Wow.
He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan.
Why are they letting him do this? Why? I am so frustrated. Like the CNN's just letting him go back over all of these points and get the last word. This is terrible.
Horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you?
No, I think the most embarrassing moment was probably one of Trump's things, but maybe it was having a civil war. Maybe it was having your White House burnt down by Canada was probably pretty embarrassing. Considering that you outnumbered them like 2-1, perhaps was more embarrassing.
Fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired?
It's not up to the president to fire people in the border patrol. Oh, come on, dude. What is wrong with this person? What is wrong with this man? Holy crap.
For allowing 18 million people, many from prisons.
Why doesn't CNN go, okay, answer the question?
Many from mental institutions. Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country.
That is not true.
He's destroyed.
Yeah, but they were fighting for Canada. They were fighting for Canada. Look, Team Monarchy burnt down the White House. I don't really care. They were fighting for Canada.
Our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal.
It was not a nothing deal. That's a lie. It was a bipartisan bill that both sides supported. That is a lie. And this guy demanded they not vote for it because he didn't want Biden to. No, this is terrible.
And it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country.
I mean, listen to him. This person wants the country destroyed. Really? He's had ample opportunity over the last 4 years. What the hell?
Doesn't have a chance, not even a chance of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world. The finest.
Why don't they make him answer the question? Why? Did he? The question. Look, to focus your memory again. The question was, What would you do if you get a second term to make childcare more affordable? What is Tapper doing? What are you doing?
It's in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody.
Yeah, no, nobody. You know, the US scares me more than China does, quite frankly. The US is scary, is insanely scary. The US with Trump in charge is fucking horrifying.
Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worse presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history, one through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with childcare, he did for virtually nothing to childcare. We should significantly increase the childcare tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work, and we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden.
Facilities.
President Trump, the question.
What? He gets cut off when he's answering the question. Look, yeah, Biden's performance was terrible. Okay, it was a terrible performance. He was obviously, but at least he answered some policy questions. At least he actually had things that he was doing. But the failure of CNN to hold Trump to questions, then cut off Biden when he's actually answering it.
It was about what would you do to make childcare more affordable if you want to take.
Oh, you think that was the question, Tapper?
We have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad, and they rate me.
No, make him answer the question.
I'll show you. I will show you. And they rate me one of the best. Okay, and
they do not rate him the best. No, that is true. 154 responses put him at the very, very bottom of presidencies. His was the worst, according to those scholars, presidential scholars. I mean, you can argue with them, sure, but that's not a lie. Those scholars did put him at the very last. Sorry.
If I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times.
That is not true. That is not true. He wants to raise taxes on the highest income earners. That is 100% a lie.
He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country.
No, they weren't. Their headquarters is still in Ireland and they dodge all the taxes they can. That is not true.
The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that we're importing. Number two, he's in a situation where
and they will charge the difference because they won't want to pay the tariffs without passing that on to the consumer.
Where he talks about how he has not raised, he somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You have the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact.
That's not a lie. He's got the largest deficit of any American president in history. But I mean, the deficit keeps growing, so that's a little misleading, I think.
Any progress with China? We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting.
So the question was, Tapper, if you indeed remember asking it, the question was for Trump. And the question was, if you get a second presidency, what will you do to lower childcare? Holy crap. Yeah, Biden dropped the ball. CNN took the ball and just shoved it up my ass. Like, quite frankly, what are you doing? Oh my.
Millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China.
Why are you letting him do this? Why are you letting him do this? This is hard to watch. This is really hard to watch.
China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst.
He's got the largest deficit. Well, that's the way the deficit works. It keeps getting high. Like, he did not contribute more than you did to the deficit. There is no way that is true. No possible way that is true.
The worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the two.
What? No. What?
2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was
every country went through COVID, you colossal idiot. Every country did.
The drugs pouring across the border were it started to
No, it's not about drugs going across the border. It's about the opioid crisis. He doesn't even know what the opioid crisis is. It's about prescription opioids being given to ordinary people and ruining their lives. Okay. Like Oxycontin and you know, all of these other ones, fentanyl, and all of these other opioids that people get hooked on because they're overprescribed.
We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot.
No, that's not what they're talking about. The opioid crisis is about the legally prescribed opioids to ordinary people.
Getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways, but the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump.
That's not true. That's not true. Yeah, Captain Red Bull, opioids are. They are. There's two sides to addiction. There is neuroadaptation, which is a physical addiction. It is your neuroadapters becoming used to a certain substance, and that causes physical addiction. And there's psychological addiction, which can be anything. It can be gambling. It can be, you know, just about anything. The neuroadaptation for opioids, and especially things like it is savage, absolutely savage, and lasts a long time. That neuroadaptation is something that lasts a long, long time. So, look, people need assistance. People need help. People need programs. People need safe places that they can get off of this substance because the neuroadaptation is so terrible. And we need firm regulations to make sure make sure. Well, it's a combination of both, right? So something like what's low on neuroadaptation? The cocaine, for instance, it's very low neuroadaptation, but psychologically it's very, very addictive. Most will have both. Something like nicotine, for instance, and cigarettes, very, very strong neuroadaptation as well as psychological addiction as well. So it's always both that work, basically. But people need to have these programs as well as strict regulation of these opioids, because the opioids were pushed out by doctors for pharmaceutical companies just looking to make money. And they knew their products were highly, highly addictive, and they didn't stop it. And that is what we're talking about when talking about the opioid crisis. And Trump isn't even talking about the same thing. He's not even talking about the same thing.
Thank you, President Biden.
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically. No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together.
Okay, so the question is, why isn't he addressing the pharmaceutical companies? And it's because he's establishment. That's Joe Biden. He's an establishment guy. Somebody, like if Bernie was there, he would be addressing the problem with people getting hooked from prescriptions and then moving on to the street drugs. He would be addressing it, but nobody is, because nobody wants to stand up to the corporations. Like, they need the money from big pharma. It's a shame. It's a real shame.
That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. Now, President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made a catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy. And
how'd this get onto Russia from the opioid? I don't understand. Like, this is so... this is Trump just doing whatever, talking about whatever the hell he wants to talk about. Before you take... Why are you lying? Why do you lie so much? Like, seriously. You're not going to have him out before you take office. That's not going to happen. For what? He didn't answer the question. Like, this is the thing. The question was, how is he going to help? Oh, for fuck's sake. How is he going? The question was, how is he going to help Americans struggling with this crisis kind of thing? How is he going to help people struggling with this crisis? And all he said was, "Oh, you let people over the border." That isn't answering the question. That isn't answering the question. That's just saying, I blame you for what's happened. How does that help? How does that help? It doesn't. It hasn't said anything. 120. All right, I'll be right back. Oh, I tell you, StreamYard's going to drive me crazy. It's going to drive me literally crazy. Yeah. I'm organized. I got this. I got this. I got this. It was 1:20 on the dot, I believe. That's the frustrating thing, though. Like, you're asked a direct question, answer the damn question. Like, I don't get it. I don't get how this is proceeding like this. It's infuriating. Like, I'm interested in the answers to these. I want to know what the new administration will do to help people with childcare, to address the climate crisis, to help people struggling with. I want to know this. I can't imagine how Americans feel when they see it and go, "Well, I guess we're fucked." You know, like, wow, this has got me swearing. I'm so angry. I'm sorry. I usually don't swear this much. It's just wow. Like, holy crap. Let's get a let's get the old liar meter out. Oh god. All right, the good old liar meter. Okay. So currently, as it stands, the liar meter is I think I'm going to break my liar meter eventually. I think it's going to break, quite frankly. I think the liar meter is definitely going to break. Dad, your sailor speaking. Now, I feel you, Andrew, but okay. I'm not angry. Okay, so I'm not angry at Biden. Biden's an old man. I'm angry at CNN. I'm angry at what. Like, I'm not even angry at Trump. Trump's an idiot and will do this. I'm angry that nobody holds him accountable for anything he damn well does.
At the end of your second term, how do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized as being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought off a lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States.
Did Biden bring Samsung? Yeah, he did. They reached an agreement to provide $6.4 billion in direct funding. They're going to build a semiconductor. Oh, one's in Texas, and then another one's coming up. Yeah, he's not wrong. He definitely did.
It's creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and those.
Well, I mean, I trust the US. I don't trust Trump. He's got a habit of breaking deals. He broke the Iran deal. He broke the Paris Accords. He breaks deals all the time.
Who he cuddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them both.
Those tests, he aced cognitive tests. He aced cognitive tests. Cognitive tests are just there to determine whether you can actually capable of conscious thought, or if there's something wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you're actually, oh my God, all right.
Both of them, as you know, we made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions, he couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive.
Yeah, that's not true. We're down to the point where someone's boasting about taking a basic cognitive test to see if you still have your faculties. That's what we're down to.
Tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way.
Yeah, and sort of people say that he cheats and awards the championship to himself.
And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm in good a shape.
Is 50 yards a long way? How much is 50 yards? That's like 45 meters. That's not a long way. That's half 100-meter like dash. What is? Oh my God.
Good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a
Oh,
little bit
that's a
lighter,
lie.
but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see
Yeah, I don't.
he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway, just take a look at what he says he is and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had,
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
Why are they allowing this to happen? Like,
Let's not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's not act like children.
You
to
are
a
a child.
specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
oh, this is a good question. Yeah, I like her. She's way better than Tapper. Hold him to the fire.
I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. And I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said
No, that is not true. That is just something made up. That is 100% not true.
that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something.
If the election is fair and free, but he'll just say it wasn't fair and free. I don't know. There's something really weird going on here.
I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be.
That's a lie. I mean, come on. Seriously?
Under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president then I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are...
See you, Carbon. Take care. Yeah, no, I'm not going to enjoy the rest of this madness. That's another lie. I'm not going.
Insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are.
Oh, wow. The fear-mongering. We are not closer to World War III than... What are you talking about?
Very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III.
So the question was, would he pledge to accept the 2024 election results of who wins? And he basically couched it in a, if it's fair and free. That's basically what he couched it in, and then proceeded to dodge the question.
Let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all, a required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful peace. Because of the people, not me, it's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden.
They took a lot of land from Bush and a lot of land from Obama and Biden. What? What? I don't... What land did they take from Bush? I don't...
They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take...
What do you mean? Like, he annexed Crimea under when Obama was in charge, but he didn't... What are you talking about? Nobody took anything from... Like, what? Oh, this guy, I swear, I don't know what he's going on about.
He's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine.
Yeah, that's probably because you would have served it up on a silver plate. I don't know. Like, I don't know why he thinks he suddenly has Putin scared of him. Putin is not scared of this man at all.
And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost.
Actually, Russia is the one doing really badly, as far as we know. I mean, Russia has had their own citizens leave the country. Like, Russia has absolutely, like, they're putting young people on the front lines. They're just throwing people at it. It's Russia that's going really... I mean, Russia had a mercenary squad turn on them. Wow.
They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked.
President Trump, the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference.
So that's a no, basically. So he's saying, oh, if it's fair and free, then yes, but it's not going to be fair and free if I don't win. What a joke this guy is, seriously. Just a yes, I will accept the results of the election would be fine. But no, he can't say that. He's got to say, well, this was fraud and that's fraud. Come on.
Conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that then I'm running.
But Biden needs to hammer him on this point. He needs to come in and say, no, he will never admit. If he loses, he will just declare it a fraud and cause the same issues he did the first time around, cause January 6th again, cause even worse issues. He needs to hammer him on this. He can't just let him talk about all of this stuff and get away with it. He's got to hammer him.
Running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our
That's a lie. That's an absolute lie.
country. I would be very happy to be someplace else in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win.
Joe Biden did not indict you. No. You're indicted while you were president. Like, seriously, what?
But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see.
No, let's not see. Let's not talk about his numbers. Hammer him on the fact that he will not accept a election result. Hammer him on that.
You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There's no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand.
No, this is not the way to go. This is not just name calling. No, what's he doing? Like, seriously. He needs to appeal to the sense of democracy and the things that made America great in the first place. He needs to appeal to people need to have a belief that their leaders are going to stabilize the country. He needs to sort of tell them that this man will destabilize the country, all for his own goals. Just calling him a whiner isn't going to help. It's just going to make him look petty.
Can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
Okay. I think this is the closing, so...
It is now time for the candidates to deliver their closing statements as predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said, nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able.
Oh, this is a terrible closing statement, sir. You are terrible.
To negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now.
Starting with yourself, I hope. Okay, all right. Okay, you're talking policy, sure. Look, Biden's a really good policymaker. He is not a good speaker. This is terrible. He needs to sort of focus on the things. Like, I get that some people care about this, but he's not summing it up in a punch. He's not punching. He's just flailing.
Now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have childcare. We're going to significantly increase the credits that people have for childcare. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do, all he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States.
It wasn't Iran, it was Hamas. What are you... Oh, man.
All passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have...
Well, Tyler, at least he actually has some policy to present. What I've noticed is Trump has no policy whatsoever. What's he actually going to do? Like, how is he actually going to implement any of the things that he's talking about? He's not. There's no policy whatsoever. He has not outlined a single policy. He has simply said, this is bad. Well, that's not freaking good enough. You've got to be able to go, this is how we'll fix it. And at least Biden's coming up with some solutions, some actual policies to address things.
And we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world.
That is not true. They don't respect Trump throughout the world. I think he's sort of, the laughing stock of just about everywhere.
Did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like, even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get, when you're terminally ill, now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA.
That is not true. That is not true. Biden's approval rating was higher than his. His was at 90%. Biden's was at 92%. It's not true.
So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former...
Oh, he's still running on that old trope. It is not a failing nation. America is still the most powerful nation in the world. Hands down. Like, there is no comparison. A failing nation.
For President Trump, President Biden, stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
Okay, do you have analysis of your own performance, CNN? Because that was frigging atrocious. Let's go. God, the lies out of this man is... Yeah, and I have to agree with you. They're not equally terrible. One person lies way more than the other. And that's the final result. That's just my opinion on what I could pick up fact-checking Trump and fact-checking Biden. It's not like Biden didn't tell any lies. He definitely did. Definitely did. But there's no comparison between the lies that... I mean, Trump, the stuff that he was saying was so flagrantly a lie. Like, he tried to claim that 18, 19, 20 million illegal immigrants came in under Biden's watch. there's only like 11 point something million of them in the US. That's so obviously not true. So here's my estimation, and here's what I think. Yeah, Trump won on rhetoric. Biden's rhetoric and his presentation was terrible. It was terrible. He was wispy. He didn't speak with authority. He didn't speak passionately. He didn't speak with any kind of certainty. He looked confused a lot of the time. He did look weak. He looked weak a lot of the time, yes. But on substance, Trump had literally nothing. I would sort of name one actual policy that Trump would implement to fix, even stuff where he could outline his policy, where the question was, how would you implement getting out all the immigrants with families, with jobs, who have been there for years? How would you implement that? He never answered, right? So it's not enough to say, hey, we've got all these illegal immigrants. The question is how to implement policy in order to fix that problem, right? That's a problem. You've got illegal immigrants, right? What policies are you going to implement? He had nothing, literally nothing. Literally nothing. And every time he was asked a question, the biggest failure of this was not Biden. I mean, yeah, he was bad. Let's not quibble about that. He was absolutely terrible. I think on policy though, he absolutely was better than Trump. It's just a shame. I know people aren't going to look at policy. They're not going to look on what are they actually doing. The big failure was CNN and the way that they handled this, because they did not force Trump to actually answer questions. He just didn't answer them. He just went, oh, well, I want to answer what Biden said, and then went back to what he said. Why are they allowing that? They had a format of the response, the rebuttal, and then another minute at their discretion kind of thing. What are you guys doing? There are a number of questions like this. There was the immigration one. How is he going to implement this policy? Never answered it. He had, how are you going to address climate change? Never answered it. Whether you're going to accept the election, they had to be forced to come back. And the thing is that the woman was great. Well, yeah, I mean, she was obviously constrained by what CNN were doing, but at least she was going, okay, you have to answer the question. I don't know what Tapper was doing. What the hell was that? Yeah. Well, I am passionate about this. I think I have friends and I have people I care about over there. And I care if they're going to be hurt. I care if they're going to be upset. I care if their lives are going to get worse. I care. And I think that with the US being the biggest economy in the world and you know, the biggest military in the world, I think that kind of affects all of us. The days which we can say, hey, you know, what's going on over there doesn't affect me, is that's kind of over. I think it's going to hurt all of us, and I'm worried that sort of the conservatives in my country are going to follow suit, because they always seem to. It's really tragic, but sort of the religious fundamentalists are getting more in charge of the Conservative Party here, and the moderate conservatives are leaving, just like what's happening in Trump world. You know, the MAGA party, it's not even the Republican Party anymore. Those Republicans who had principles are all gone. It's tragic. But I think that people should pay attention to more about what how they're answering and what they're saying than how they sound on a surface level. Because Biden sounds terrible on a surface level. He sounds really terrible on a surface level, but at least he actually has some policies and not just, hey, there's this problem, Trump's terrible at it, and, you know, that's it. That's all that Trump had. Biden's terrible. Everybody hates him. He's got this big problem. He let immigrants cross the border. The question is, what policies do you implement at a fundamental level? Like, what are you actually going to do to correct this problem? And that was not addressed by Trump. I don't think that Biden addressed everything. I think he got dragged into the, well, or maybe not. Maybe he brought up some of the stuff as well, but at least he had some policies on the table. Because when we look at a platform in politics, we don't just look at, you know, what somebody's saying about their opponent. That's just campaigning on personality. It does nothing for anybody. We've got to have policies on a platform. And at least Biden has something there. So get out there, vote. It is everybody's responsibility, because we're all equal stakeholders in this world. Everybody's responsibility to at least try to cast a ballot in the right direction to what's going to improve the lives of people. And I don't think that's Trump. I don't know. I was actually being quite generous with the lie tally score, like just things that are a bit dubious. I kind of skipped over. I think that's pretty. Well, I was being generous on both of them, actually. Like, there was a few things that Biden said that I could have deemed lies, but, you know, they were close to the mark. They were close to the mark. But I want to leave you. I got heated about this one. It really, you know, people saying that Trump won the debate. I'm not so sure. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I'm sorry. I think he won on rhetoric. I think he won on sophistry. I think he won on sort of presentation and how he spoke about the debate, but he did not win on substance. Like, what? I would challenge somebody to give me an actual policy that he outlined in that debate. I can't find one. I can't find one. Yeah, it is sad, Tyler. I agree with you, mate. I do. And thanks, Ty. No, I appreciate you being here. That one's for the fans. I honestly, I probably didn't. You know, I was kind of sort of just ambivalent about this one. I didn't really mind if I saw it. Didn't really mind if I didn't. You know, I mean, it's fine. It was. I mean, as debates go, it was a terrible debate. You know, it was absolutely horrific. Yeah, no, I'm going to blame chat. I'm going to blame chat and my inability to stand up to poll results. No, it isn't. It isn't over 20 million. It isn't, Jay. No. The amount of illegal immigrants in the US is less than 20, so it can't be. Yeah, as of 2022, it was sort of about 10.99 million. Okay, so 11 million people. It hasn't gone up that much, seriously. So, like, it absolutely isn't. You're 100% wrong, because I'm getting mine from Statistica and Pew Research. So where are you getting yours from? Can I have a citation on that thing? Do you want me to show you where I'm getting mine from? I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Okay. And we have number of unauthorized immigrants in the US has declined since 2007. This is total immigrants in the US. 10.5 million. Thanks for playing. It's not 20 million over Biden's life. There's no. You are wrong. Yeah. Anyway, I am going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. If you feel like I've done a good job, or if I haven't done a good job, leave a like, subscribe. If you hate what I've said, if you think that my numbers are bad, if you think that I've done a terrible job, leave a dislike. I don't mind. Go for it. Leave in the comments if you have any issues. If you've got any recommendations. It's been a wild debate. It made me mad. Yeah. I totally understand why Jon Stewart was mad. I totally understand. Like, totally get it. Totally get it. Because that is, it's like going to the grocery store and okay, Jade Lord. Yeah, no, I don't give a crap about your anecdotal evidence, mate. Like, they're just anecdotes. Like, we do statistical studies. We don't just say, hey, there's some illegal aliens, so hey, it must be higher. That isn't how any of this works. That isn't how anything works. I saw this, therefore that. No, that's not how any of this works. Anyway, oh, look, Trump definitely did a better presentation. Like, no doubt about it. Biden's was horrible, absolutely horrible. But he had no substance at all. And, I wish people paid attention to policy rather than just, sophistry and stuff like that. But thank you for joining me. Don't forget to be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. Don't forget to vote. It is important. And I will see you in the next one, people. Bye-bye.